सफर, कुछ होने में और बहुत कुछ होने में इतना सा फर्क है, एक बार सोच के छोड़ देने में और लग के कर दिखाने में। मान लेने में कि जिंदगी ऐसे ही कटेगी और सुबह 4 बजे उठ के सोचने में ये अभी तो बस शुरुआत है। किसी मैगजीन को हाथ में लेने में और उसी मैगजीन के कवर पेज पे होने में इतना सा ही तो फर्क है। वीआईपी सीट में और उसकी पिछली सीट में इतना सा ही तो फर्क है। वो जिसका मैदान ही खुला आसमान है, वही कल जमीन पर तो था। पूछोगे तो बताएगा वो पंछी, ये एक दायरे में सिमटने में और पूरी दुनिया को दायरा बनाने में बस इतना सा फर्क है। इतना कितना है? इतना है या इतना है? जो नापेगा वो जाने कि जहां धरती और आसमान मिलते हैं, नानकुर से दूर, अगर मगर शायद से दूर, वहां भी दोनों में फर्क बस इतना सा है। धरती और सातवें आसमान में फर्क बस इतना सा। ये एक अंतर प्रेरणा है। ये हमारी, आपकी, हम सब की अंतर प्रेरणा है। एक कदम, एक छलांग, एक बाजी, एक गहरी सांस और एक ललकार खुली हवाओं में कि हाँ, मैं बना हूं उन फिजाओं के लिए, कि हाँ, मैं बना हूं उन ऊंचाइयों के लिए जो ऊंची तो बहुत है पर नामुमकिन भी नहीं, क्योंकि मुमकिन और नामुमकिन में बस इतना सा फर्क है। धूप छांव में फर्क बस इतना सा। तो बस चलिए फ्रेंचाइज इंडिया के साथ ये फर्क मिटा देते हैं। फ्रेंचाइज इंडिया, 20 years of ideas.
Very good afternoon to all the dear friends for joining us today. We welcome each one of you to this webinar series. Today we are bringing the brand which represents the healthcare sector. We invite and welcome the management. We invite and welcome the management team of Franchise India. They'll be sharing their insights today about this particular brand as well as about insights about the franchise opportunities. The brand which we are representing for each one of you is Zorgers, the brand which provides medical care, critical care, elderly as well as baby care. It's a professionally managed home care brand, and today we have invited Varun, Namrata and Nikita to talk about the brand. Thank you so much everyone for joining in today. May we request Nikita to start with the formal presentation from her side.
Today we have Zorgers, which is basically the motive of this company is to take care of your loved ones. Due to the pandemic situation and the increase in the home health care sector, there is a huge potential for Zorgers to be a part of this industry and to create value for each person, providing them the support. The Zorger has a huge network of healthcare, highly qualified and experienced medical professionals. Zorger has this motive to live the every moment caring for the loved ones of in your family, whoever needs the support, the care in their daily routine life for the uh, medical support. We offer different range of services, right from the post hospitalization care to to the routine care of the old age population, nursing facilities, home equipment. So basically, there are critical patients who are at home and they need oxygen concentrator, patient beds. So we can be the supplier for these equipment. Zorgers currently they have 7 years of an experience, and they have been successfully serving the patients across the community and helping them to recover from their physical conditions. In our team, we have Varun, who is taking care of the operational excellence, looking after the geographical expansion, so building the strategies to take over the entire business into different emerging cities and to serve the population there. Anil, who is looking after the technology development, building the app, which is very much suitable for the people to operate. And Dr. Vineet, he is looking after the medical upgradation. Vinay is looking after the investment plan. The vision of this company is to be the most trusted, because this company has one motive is to be the customer satisfaction provider. So their main motive is to provide high satisfaction to their customers in delivering the wide range of services. Currently, they are present in the eight locations. They are still trying to develop, bringing in new cities wherein they can provide the healthcare services. For this, I would like to invite Varun if he can add something for the company's plan, how company is increasing its presence.
Yeah, sure, Nikita. I think a warm welcome to all of you over there on the call and a very good afternoon. So basically, what we are talking about is a journey of 7 years that we have traversed from right being, the initial idea which has came from a very basic element of supporting a dependent elder, or primarily the journey has evolved around supporting the day-to-day care needs of the parents of a migrant population, right? So I think just to give a very 20 seconds kind of a story. So it is all about, while I have been in my job, so what I realized during those all travel jobs, so I've hardly been spending time with my family, and my family has suffered a lot in terms of, especially if there is a medical episode. So I think we all would realize the fact that if either we are with our family or mostly we are not with the family, so I think the problem gets intensified, and we need some point in time a regular care element, somebody who is always there to ensure that at least the healthcare doesn't suffer of our loved ones, right? So this is how we have built this journey for the 7 years. So the hard work has been more towards our operating grounds, which is Chandigarh, Panchkula, Mohali, Ludhiana, Ambala, Patiala, Ahmedabad, and Zirakpur for now. So Ahmedabad has been a very recent city. Ambala has been a recent addition, but otherwise for say Chandigarh, Panchkula, Mohali, we've been operating for the last almost 7 years now, right? So Nikita, can we keep jumping to the slides?
Yes, yes.
So talking about a typical difference, how Zorgers is organized versus vis-a-vis, any other agencies, right? So Zorgers, first of all, we are talking about a corporate registered company which is both registered and recognized by Startup India as well as the Startup Punjab. So from Government of Punjab as well as Government of India. So it is branded, and we have, the brand is all about the hard work that we have put over the years. Then, things like, I would say, more than I would say, the central function, which is more than 20 plus employees working for the satisfaction. So while the on-ground team is at this point in time, when we talk about is 3,500 people on ground being managed excellently by the use of technology, but then the entire central function, the activities across the sales to medical case planning to all aspects of the business are being handled by the team of this 20 people who are available 24/7 for any support. So we are ISO certified company, and while we talk about the the competition in this in this space, so far as largely I would say this industry, the very nature of this industry is largely unorganized, right? So whether we talk about a typical nurse or an attendant wanting, if you are in a hospital setup and you happen to meet up close by nurse or an attendant, so they would want to offer you these nature of services, which are of course you save some pennies in that, but at the end of the day, it is always about the security and reliability element. Today you make a booking, tomorrow you expect somebody to be there at your place, but the guy doesn't turn up, and to an extent the nurse or attendant who was a booking agent do not even want to answer your call. So that's a height of unprofessionalism which we have witnessed. So I would say, with the way we have structured this journey so far vis-a-vis what is available in the market, primarily it can be cost driven factor for some Indians who still want to avail, who are happy to take unorganized services just to save some pennies. So otherwise there is a hell lot of difference. There is no great competition which is so far existing in the space. So the story of opportunity, if we talk about, so the elements which are very, very important is like, we talk about a lower expenses. When we say lower expenses, so since we are bringing almost the hospital equivalent home healthcare services at home, so of course, if somebody has to be in a hospital framework, in a medical kind of a situation, so managing that situation in a hospital vis-a-vis at home is highly affordable, right? So it ensures the faster recovery because the kind of environment which the patient is always close to their loved ones, they're in a homely environment, it is very prone to the early rehabilitation programs, right? So which we call technically, in a layman language, we call it as a faster recovery, right? And of course the patient and the entire the life cycle, including the loved ones around, are all happy. So the major elements in this comes around the equipment rental and sales services. So, and then in terms of nursing attendant and the physio services. So basically what we talk about is whether you want a basic support system in the form of manpower, which is like in a hospital definition we call it as a GD or a ward boy, or to somebody who's like a lady attendant, to somebody who's a general nurse, to an ICU nurse. So based on the condition of an elder or a patient, we decide the right person to be appointed, right? If it is just a newborn kind of a somebody has to serve a newly mother or an infant, so generally these are nannies, technically to be called as babysitters, who are being provided. Right, and then it is in the form of all possible equipment which is required to support the elders and patient stay comfortable at home. It can again be from a very basic level of, let's say, a patient bed kind of a thing, to a walker, wheelchair kind of a range, to highly intensive things like BiPAP, CPAP, ventilators, whatever is required to keep the such patients comfortable at home. Then one of the biggest other element is in the form of consultation and the centralized treatment process. So when we say very recently talking about the pandemic situation, the second wave which we all seen, so it was really a tough job for almost everyone to get a hospital bed in a situation, right? So the way the Zorgers has come out of this this particular situation, the way we have addressed this, providing the ICU monitoring setups at home, closely coupled with the anesthetic or the ICU specialist doctors, always available for such calls, right? So every medical case planning, the nursing team which was being provisioned at a patient bedside. So everything was well monitored through the use of technology and the bedside equipment which we were providing. And we can proudly say that if not less, we would have handled almost 500, the critical hospital equivalent nursing support which was required, and the patients were not able to get those beds in a hospital. So we are greatly proudly, we can say that we have saved almost 500 such lives by providing the ICU monitoring setups at home in this pandemic. So just giving you a perspective, yeah, I think Nikita, you are the best one to talk about it.
Yeah, so looking at our healthcare sector, we have seen that there is overall increase in 16%. Now, there are few factors which are driving this growth. The one of them is the increasing nuclear family trend. So maybe the couple is going for job and they have their in-laws at home, so they want somebody to take care of them. So they cannot leave that daily job, but taking care of somebody also becomes a part of their daily job. So in that, if Zorger, a community like Zorger can play a major role in taking that responsibility and successfully delivering it, that helps people in doing their regular activities, and at the same time, their loved ones are safe. Also, due to this pandemic situation, people are becoming more health aware. So there is increasing awareness, and because of this situation, people have started spending their income on the health related maybe equipment or the services which benefit them in growing their health or making it better and taking care of themselves. The plus point is, of course, the Indian government is also taking huge steps in increasing the infrastructure facilities, the R&D, the innovation developments are happening. Also, the medical tourism is being growing. There is an encouragement happening. So looking at the overall demand rising factors, there is a huge increase and a huge opportunity for a player like Zorgers to be addressing the upcoming demand. So as we say that we have the home healthcare services. So in that the population is, we are looking for the overall target group. But there is also a community which is old age community. So there is an increase in that population, and there is a regular demand which is being created to take care of them. And this is usually coupled with the multi morbidity. So for example, a person has diabetes, they also have a BP issue. So for them, for such people, there is support required. And plus, in the current healthcare sector, there are neurological disorders happening. So because of that increasing number, also we have demand which is growing, and due to this increasing health issues, there is a huge requirement for the holistic services. So to be specific, the home healthcare market after COVID has increased, and there is a huge factors because people are becoming more receptive towards it, because that helps them in avoiding the additional cost related to the hospital visits, also keeps them safe from the infection. Doctors are accepting adopting this mode of delivering the consultation services. Even the insurance companies are covering such expenses. So all together is bringing a huge opportunity. Then there is this medical device market which is growing. The reason behind that is because we have this opportunity for home healthcare services. Of course, when you are bringing the hospital at home, you also need the medical equipment to deliver the healthcare services. So it goes hand in hand. As and when the home healthcare is increasing, the demand for the medical services will also increase. And for delivering our services, our target group would be, if we look in the healthy population, we have these immigrants who are going to a different country, but they have their parents or the elder person in their family who are left in the home country, and they want somebody to take care of them, or maybe when their parents are ill and they cannot come on immediate basis, they need a healthcare service provider to take such responsibilities and take care of their loved ones. And talking about the population which is directly requiring our help in the health sector is the people who are aged, and the people who have because in the elder people and even in the mid-age people have this joint issues happening, and because of which they have this temporary disability. In that also they require home healthcare services. Looking at our busy schedule and the busy life, the increase in the lifestyle diseases are also happening, and because of which there is a growing burden, and there are opportunities for the nurses to come and take care of them, maybe help them in taking a regular life in a very streamlined manner. And also because there are huge the hospitals are very overburdened. There is a shortage of nurses, and the people are not getting dedicated services. So for eliminating those challenges, it is good to have a home healthcare system so that the nurses can dedicatedly take care of your loved ones and help them recover fast. So the recovery rate also increases. And looking at the problem, as a Zorger, we come up with the solution, as we have a network of the highly skilled nurses, the topmost doctors, for providing the hurdle-free quality, the premium quality healthcare services at the patient's convenience place. We also have our equipment. We have in-house technology team who is regularly working on the upgradations. Also, there is a centralized care system which is being developed, wherein the nurses can directly get a planning of their the plan of their patient. The treatment can be provided to them through the application, and they can follow that at their place of work. And along with that, we also have our call center, wherein if any of our employees are facing any issues, they can raise the complaint on. And also on the customer side, we also have a customer call center, wherein they can share their concerns and we can immediately provide them the solution. Looking at the home healthcare sector, Zorgers is at a very better position in this competitive market, because Zorger is not only providing one service. We have a large portfolio. We provide the medical equipment also. So somebody uh, who is looking for the hospital at home, we can just set up the medical equipment at that place, and along with the caretaker, we can provide them the hospital-like environment at their place of convenience. Also, we have a team based on the specialized treatment. So somebody who is just looking for the joint pain. So we have our specialized physiotherapy staff who can deliver such services and help them recover faster. On the brand strength, if we say in this growing industry, so we have the highly experienced people. They have been working in this industry since last 7 years and have been successfully delivering their services. They also have this critical care at home services, which very few players offer in the market. And this company is also a tech-driven business management platform which we have developed. So we also help the people in having their reports and their treatment, everything at one dashboard where they can have a visual of that thing, and also our service provider can find the data very easily in our system. The increasing disposable income in the population of India currently has and along with the increasing awareness of health, the people are spending their a significant amount on taking care of their health and their family. So on that aspect, it brings a good opportunity for us to deliver our services, because we also look at the customer satisfaction as our core responsibility. Varun, I would like if you can share few USPs or the value proposition which you can bring in the market from the founders.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what we're talking about is an experience and expertise over a period of time which we have developed at Zorgers. So we are talking about that we are accessible from all possible channels, right? So whether if you are in a hospital framework and you want to find us, so we have a good connections, right? Now this is our modus operandi. If you are looking for us from a digital standpoint of view, so we are managing a good social media presence, right? So we are managing, almost the highest possible level of website, in terms of, somebody would want to look for this nature of services. Majority of the questions are pretty much answered there and then, and there is a trained call center which is available in the form of, 24/7, who is there to, we don't call it as a sales call center, we call it more like a counseling center, right? So where the people can anytime call and they should be able to tell us the reasons, they're actually the problems they are facing, and the team is not there to make any sales, they are just to give them solutions, right? So whatever fits best for them, it can be as simple as that. छोटा सा example लेते हैं, people want that कि, we talk about, let's say there is a hospital, let's say PGI in Chandigarh, right? So it's a very one of the very premier government institute in Chandigarh. So we say that, it's almost every day 10,000 patients land in PGI. And if somebody wants to take their patients for their father or mother for the next 7 days to PGI just for a checkup, and they find a real challenge कि हम लोग कैसे जाएं रोज, daily we have to take a leave from the office and all that. So as just understanding the basic element of the pain for a customer, so we provide all possible support, like providing them an attendant who can go on their behalf, make sure that they are always updating the family member कि where we are, what is happening happening to your father or mother, and ensuring this peace of mind as well as the time saving for the individual. So that's how we structure from a very basic level to an example which I already quoted, to setting up the complete grid. Like a typical case can be, you have been in a hospital setup for the last 3 months, and the hospital bills are increasing each day, and you don't have a clue of how my patient is behaving in terms कि मैं इनका कोई इलाज हो भी रहा है, ठीक नहीं हो रहा, या we are just ending the money and we are just left with some last bucks that we have, and we still want our patient to be taken care professionally in a convenient homely environment. So there is again Zorgers, which is where the people can discover us, and we are there to provide all possible level of support in terms of giving them the quality nurses, giving them a doctor supervision, and providing all possible medical equipment infrastructure, all being managed through technology. Whatever nurses are doing is being transparently shared with the doctors, and the doctors do kind of something we call as tele rounds, right? So a doctor is providing all possible support to the nurses as good as if they are in a hospital environment. तो हॉस्पिटल में भी अगर पेशेंट होता है तो दिन में 2 राउंड होते हैं, मॉर्निंग में होता है, इवनिंग में होता है. Similarly, we call it as a tele round. So doctor is through video call, or many a times if barring the COVID kind of a situations, the doctors make a physical round also to the patient at home, if not daily, alternate day, or as per the demand of a patient or a family. So they will make the visit and make sure that the patient is just treated as good as in a hospital environment. So there is a saving element of, if not less than, I would say 1/10 of a hospital cost. If we typically talk about any JSCI accredited hospitals in India, so if you are getting treated in a JCI accredited hospital, so 1/10 of a cost you may get treated in a home environment, right? So definitely there is a large degree of acceptance which has come. We already talked about, Nikita has given a great summary in terms of the, whether we talk about the aging population, the medical cases are increasing, the convenience which people are looking at home because of the nuclear family cultures. Now we're not talking about, joint family cultures anymore in India. We're talking about the people who are like husband, wife living alone with some, their parents along with, right? So people even are clueless that how to manage these situations. That's how the home healthcare gets its own advantage, right? So availability, we already talked about the range of services which are available, and finally we are talking about affordability. I already mentioned there is at least from an ICU point of view, there is, if not less than 1/10 of a cost of a hospital environment. So yes, so franchise. So we're talking about some kind of a roadmap that we have set across for us. I think whatever we have done in the last 7 years through us and with one of the franchise partners in Ahmedabad by now, we're looking for the similar synergy, like-minded people across the cities that we are mentioning. While we say that we are available for anywhere and everywhere in India, but yes, still it is important to define some milestones, a phase-wise journey which we have defined. So phase 1, we are looking primarily more dense availability, I would say depth of our services in the northern India. So the immediate things that we have opened is Delhi, Gurugram, Noida, Ghaziabad, Faridabad, and then we are densing it out again in Vadodara and Surat, Mumbai, Pune, and Hyderabad. So these are the immediate beds which are available, while we stay continually looking for the best of breed, the executors, I would say, because what we are looking from our partners is somebody who has a great execution or an operational excellence, right? Because this journey, otherwise everything has been set from our side. We assure you the best quality, I would say the overall framework of this business, which to be technically called as a corporate structure, right? So when we talk about any business model, so we need a corporate function, and secondly we need a local team, somebody who drives the city. So I think when we look at our partners, or the partners look at us, so they should look that they will get all possible best of the breed, I would say the corporate structure which is ever possible in India for these nature of services. And I can say a world best platform which is available to, if you think about starting this nature of business in your city. But what we look at our partners is a great excellence skills, right? Operational excellence, in short, right? So we're just trying to define this model as a FOFO model, right? So FOFO, Nikita, if you can just quickly jump to the previous slide. So yes, FOFO, we are talking about a franchise owned So absolutely, this is your ownership. You are the owner of this business, and yes, we are there to support you. And the second four is like franchise operated, right? So it is your ownership, your investment, your operations. Yes, brand guidelines are mandatory. Revenue is again to you, expenses by you. Yes, we are there for some kind of a royalty and net profit sharing. In terms of course, the great support that we bring on the table. And then we are talking about some roles, indicative roles that we are talking about. Like there is a very bare minimum requirement in terms of setting up an office or a clinic, right? Or preferably near a multi-specialty hospital. We say that reach to the doctors. Somebody who is going to run the show should have either have a a predefined network of doctors or hospitals, or they should say that they should be they should have a good IPR skills to build that network. Local city marketing as per the guidelines which will be provided. Home healthcare service staff deployment. So so this business is largely about one on the demand side, which is in terms of creating a good IPR skills with the doctors and hospitals. Of course, the brand and the internet lead is something that the brand is there to take care of, right? But the local marketing has to be taken care. And the second side is the supply side, which is about managing the great team of caregivers, right? So we have to build a good relationship in terms of the the best of breed nurses which are available in your city, the best of breed attendants which are available, doctors, physios who are available for these home visits, right? And then there is a good homework that we have already done for maintaining the medical equipments, and these can be available both for renting and selling purposes. So this is just an indicative investment plan, how it looks like. I think just to give an idea, so we are talking about an example of some unit, which is I would say a franchise unit, which is going to cater to roughly around I would say a 20 lakhs kind of a population, right? So this is how it will look like 20 lakhs would population catering of 20 lakhs would translate into 20 lakhs kind of an investment with an office area. I mean, tentatively around 300 square feet with, we have just defined some revenue numbers against, the operational expenses, which will go. The ROI is, very much markets best practices 24 to 27 months. But I think more than that, what you earn is a great, I would say, healthcare brand ownership, right? So you are being looked in a particular city. I mean, while you, of course, the final objective of any business is to make money, but something which you should be really proud and should think about is that what you are going to otherwise get out of this business is a great IPR or a repute in the city, because you are going to solve a particular problem. People are in a real need, right? So they are suffering in terms because of this unorganized sector. So besides you make money and you get your ROIs in 24 to 27 months, but what you build is really a excellent community, the IPR. Because I can tell you based on my own experience today, if we talk about the cities where we are operational, we are very much considered as somebody we are contributing to the city's real healthcare problems, and which is beyond the hospital environment. And we take again a proud in saying that we have created an alternate healthcare industry. It is not a typical healthcare which was just limited to a hospital environment or a clinical environment. So aaj tak kya hota tha, people think about healthcare, so they talk about doctor, clinic. So we are not ending it. We are saying that we are just an extension to that. So anything which is beyond a hospital and clinic, right? So you should continue to go there, and we are in fact there to support you being there. But at the same time, we are assuring that when you are out of a hospital or a clinic, or how to avoid the rehospitalization. So that is how you should look at this investment opportunity as. So this is a very quick overview of what all you can expect from us. Again, it is an element of a corporate structure that we are talking about. So we talk about a network of manpower suppliers. Like, when we talk about this business, so 70-80% of the time we are talking about a network of nurses, attendants to be managed, while some of them will come full-time, most of them will come, freelancers. So by virtue of the 7 years in the journey, so we maintained, or we are pretty sure about supporting you for any bulk recruitment that you would want to do in your cities, in terms of the Ministry of Skill Development tie-ups, be in terms of consulting tie-ups, be in terms of nursing institutes. So those things are given. So then there is a technology support. So because we come from a technology background, we are technologies engineers by background. So right from the day one, we have tried to create an a support system which is highly tech enabled. So all elements of this business, and we all would agree to a fact that today there is no business, whether we when we talk about FMCG, we talk about food industry, to that matter, retail, all industries today need technology to scale. So I think even with this home healthcare, we are, think about a minute to minute detail about the business, and we made sure that everything is kind of tech enabled. So we have an in-house ERP, we have a website, we have a Android app for all our staff who are visiting at place. So then centralized lead management system is there, like how the customers know about us, then they are able to fill that inquiry. So any lead which comes into, so there is a centralized lead management system. So as I already talked about a digital marketing or a social media presence, so we are pretty good and active in that space. So we have both, typical channels to be talked about, a LinkedIn, Facebook, Insta, we are already there. We're building a Twitter also. So then we are talking about centralized care planning system. So this is something of a real importance. When we talk about a best of breed medical professionals uh, available to counsel a patient to understand the real needs, why a person is wanting a care and how exactly it needs to be rendered. So this is where, this is a very specialized job. And again, something we have done a real good work in terms of creating that team, the people who are good in terms of capturing the basic needs, so that a customer who is deciding to take the services, finally they get what exactly they're looking for. It should not be, maine manga uttar mujhe mila dakshin. So not something like that. It should is that up to the mark what a customer is really looking at. If they're looking for an attendant, and what exactly an attendant should look like, or what is the job responsibilities expected. So this is to capture the minute by minute detail from a medical per se. Then or from a BD or a sales per se, we assure the licensing with the hospital network, right? So we have the best of breed B2B professionals with us who can help for any major B2B tie-ups to be done in your cities. Then a regular medical equipment supply, right? So we can help you with all possible medical equipment inventory which is required. So guidelines will come from our side, and you are just supposed to, follow that. Yeah, I think this is just a very, overall summary to what we have discussed. We're talking about India as an evolving home healthcare opportunity because of various factors we discussed about the geriatric population, about the affordability of the hospital, the physical conditions are getting deteriorated because, of course, we are talking about our old age population increasing. So definitely the physical conditions are deteriorating, and to an extent that the mental health issues are also cropping up, right? So then the excellent brand position that we have talked about, so based on our learning and experiences that we are bringing on the table, then of course we are looking for a strong franchise partner, and what are the benefits they can get. It is again the leveraging on our knowledge and trust. So one, of course, if you have to decide between creating your own brand or our vis-a-vis partnering with Zorgers, so we are talking about the best possible professional support which is available, ensuring that you save at least 3 to 5 years of your journey. So right, so if you are something, let's say if we talk about a business sense, let's say if you have to create your first 1 CR kind of a revenue, if let's say if it takes technically for you to 3 years to build that revenue, so we assure that that didn't happen in the first year. And 3 years also, I'm just taking an example, if somebody is a wonderful executor, but otherwise from with Zorgers you can achieve that in the first year itself. So that's about it. Open for any questions you guys may have.
Thank you so much, Varun, for putting this presentation. And I would say you explained every part of it very elaborately. And if I just have to add, and friends, I will also request, I do see questions coming in, and we'll take all these questions one by one with Mr. Varun, who's the co-founder of the company. And friends, if you look at the industry overall, home healthcare today is at a tipping point, and it's all ready to take off. And if you look at the current situation, maybe the last 1.5 years, it has already given maybe a push to the industry at large. So the company, while started almost about 5 years back, and what I was also reading about them, they strive to serve at least 500,000 of people in the next 4 odd years.
And there has been a personal series of some events or experiences, I would say, which Varun had gone through, which prompted him to launch the company. And also, as we speak, they've already clocked more than 7.5 million of caregiving hours to their customers or to their patients. And if you look at the industry, this is elderly care, very specialized and challenging, as there are multiple service providers, and mostly all that is very, very unorganized, and at the same time there are multiple services which are to be provided, because the ecosystem has many stakeholders, the customer care needs, which are very, very unique, the services, and also the service providers. So the need of today is to have a provision where we can have be a collaborative, integrated, and most important, I would say, is the user centric services which can be given to the patients. So what the company has done is they've created a very inclusive model which offers four main services, and hence there are four revenue streams also that we have talked about, starting from equipment rental services to manpower, which will include your attendants, nurses, and also I would say manpower for also assisted living, especially for the elderly. And third are consultation services, which the company is offering. And fourth would be the treatment, and some part of treatment would also be facilitated by the team. Overall investment of 20 lakhs. You need not require a big setup. It starts with a small infrastructure of 300 square feet, and where a major part of the investment is towards the equipment, which is about 12.75 odd lakhs, 5 lakhs towards the franchise fees, and you have other expenses, which is 2.25, which is required maybe for setting up your office. And the company will also help you in supporting with some alliances. They can refer you to some hospitals and also care givers, which you would need in the city. So Varun, I'll start, while I'll take up some questions from the audience also. I'll start with maybe, asking what your personal experience has been in the last 5 years. And I'm sure, you've seen the last 1.5, 2 odd years, but this industry has actually seen a very big shift. And I would say this is a tipping point where many companies have started to come in this sector. So what difference and how have you seen the industry evolve over the last 5 years? And also I will request if you can share a little bit about your personal experience that actually pushed you, prompted you to look at, is business as an opportunity.
Yeah, thanks for asking this. Yeah, I would give you a quick story. I see, as I introduced in my previous discussion. So basically, I have been an engineer, computer science and engineering graduate. So I've worked for telecom for good 12 to 13 years prior to venturing out into the healthcare space. So I think I was handling the international portfolio for Dr. BK Modi Group company, and I have spent a lot of time offshore. So when I was traveling, so definitely, a lot of the healthcare aspect of the family was put on the stake. And one of the episode happened with my wife, so she had to go through, one of a very important surgery, and I was not there that point in time. And I think, through some family means we could be able to manage. But that's where, it triggered to me, this is a real problem to be solved, right? And, in fact, my mother has been in that age group where, she could also not do a much of a help for a wife, right? And it was very fair for her because, finally, the elders have their own challenges. And then, when there is a medical situation, it needs to be handled tactfully and smartfully. It is not that, because you have to do for a right doctor also, you need to have a somebody who is there for a complete support system, right? And when I did my own research in terms of finding the existing supply which was available, so I found it too unorganized, right? Because of course, being engineers, we are trained to not just directly jump into a solution, but rather do our own due diligence research in terms of whether the problem we are thinking, because every idea looks fancy, but when you actually do your research, so you find out so whether it is already getting solved, if it is getting solved, to what extent. So I did my own research in terms of going to the various hospitals, in terms of doing the Google-based research, but we could not find out anything which was of real something to be called as just answering two aspects: one, the reliability, and other, the security, right? So because if I have to give some solution for this elder population to, we call in this business two terms. One is a consumer, another is a buyer. So consumer is generally the end elder customer or a patient who is going to avail the services, right? And the buyer is generally a migrant, son or a daughter, grandson or a granddaughter. Just say, for example, taking an example, you right now are sitting in, let's say, in Mumbai, and you are actually, your hometown happens to be somewhere in Punjab or in, Haryana, Himachal. So, you are already at a distance, and that's where, you at all possible time, you want to, give all best possible support to your family. But, your professional life or the personal life to many a life, it does not allow you to give that enough timing always, right? Because as we mentioned in our tagline also, the caring for your loved one is a daily job, right? So you may be able to spare time once, but when it is a daily episode or it is a regular episode, so that's where you require a professional support system, right? And you need a peace of mind. It is not just about, the solutions which have been largely available. Again, giving the answer to the other question that you asked, that what we have seen over a period of time through players like us. So I think when we started the industry was largely unorganized. I would say right now also, with all the efforts that have been put by players like us, so we've been able to, solve the problem to not more than 10 to 15%. It is still 85% unorganized, right? So because of various factors, you can say the affordability is also one of the element, though we try to make our services highly affordable. But right, I think there is further next level of innovation which we are already doing by bringing more element of technology and how to reduce the cost further. So I would say that what has actually happened is that from 100% organized unorganized to today at somewhere around 85 to 88% unorganized, this is what we have done for the last 7 years. Then the quality of workforce, which has been a real challenge today. I think thankful to the government initiatives also, where the government has set up a ministry which is Ministry of Skill Development. The biggest challenge has been somebody who wants to be a caregiver, right? आज भी सबसे बड़ा challenge इस industry का, if we have to just for audience to know that, I mean somebody who really wants to be a caregiver in a true way, right? Somebody who has a compassion, a right knowledge, skill set, but more importantly, I would say an empathy and a compassion, which is the basic nature of job which is required when you are going to serve an older population or a patient, right? So this is I think that we along with the government have been really working hard to solve this problem. So government has built up a lot of, I would say, state level subjects. There is a Ministry of Skill Development under which there is a program called DDU-GKY, which is developing a lot of home healthcare training programs, right? So home healthcare training programs may usually I would say that typically males or females in the age group of about 18 to 25 years are being given 3 to 6 months vocational programs, especially around the healthcare as a subject, right? So which we, in a hospital definition, we call GDA. So I think both the things, like the acceptance has increased. Like पहले हमें लोगों को idea देना पड़ता था, this is how you should, अगर आपके ये problem है तो आप service लो, right? आप healthcare सोच सकते हो, या जो बच्चे job करना चाहते थे उनको भी बताना पड़ता था कि कि इस तरीके की जॉब एग्जिस्ट करती है, आप करो ऐसा काम करो, to an area where I think today our call center is almost 40 to 50% flooded with the job calls, where people want to get connected with Zorgers, they want to work for Zorgers, right? And the other side, on the demand side also, especially after the pandemic, right, it has increased tremendously. Now the people knows home healthcare because हमने अभी we have gone all possible level, like we are providing chemotherapies at home, जहाँ पर cancer patients को बहुत difficult हो रहा था घरों मतलब hospital में जाके, because almost lives were in danger, like कि अगर आप cancer patient को pandemic में hospital लेके जाते हो तो there is almost 70% chances of mortality, right? So we have saved that by doing almost the home chemotherapy sessions. We have given the home dialysis services along with the best of breed professionals available. So those are the things that we have brought on the table.
Very helpful, Varun. I'll also take maybe a minute to show the website, and that there's a big array of services which they're providing. And very quickly, I'd like to jump on all the business model also while that was explained. But I have some questions which I'll take it up in the interest of our audience. So, friends, this is the website, and Varun, wherever you want to add please feel free to add. And so these are the services which I could, I felt you should all be aware of the services being offered. But there are many players doing, if I say elderly care or services which are at home, but not everybody has integrated services or inclusive services which they have. So from patient care to baby care, even live-in care, which is assisted living, which is very, very big globally, to even her rental equipment, all that is taken care by the company. And also which are equipments which are patient bed, oxygen concentration, wheelchair, all these equipments are supplied by them. And also there are
I
certain
think this is,
packages which I
yeah,
saw.
this is, I would like to add here, just particularly this section of packages. I think this is where we are constantly in an innovation kind of a mode. So we are talking about, right? So while there is a service element of providing a nurse or an attendant, we see that one of the important, I would say the lifestyle thing that we have been observing all across is that almost you can say roughly 1 out of every 100 elders are today going through a knee replacement or a hip replacement, right? So this has become a lifestyle angle these days. So we have come out with a solution where once from the element of just deciding for a knee replacement to getting completely recovered, so there is an end-to-end package that we have defined. So with the all orthopedic and physiotherapy support, nursing support which is available. So I think this generally talks about our innovation, which is the key. I mean, we always keep thinking about how to make not just provide the service angle, but also to make sure how to package the things well so that the people are really able to make the smart decisions and it is a real convenience for them.
Sure, well, that's very helpful. So very quickly, friends, if you want to even check on the services, you can do that. And I saw somebody even asked about the presentation, and we'll share that with you. And so this is about the company. You can all go through the same. And but quickly on the business model, we've talked about an investment of 20 lakhs, and we also talked about the expenses. Now, since we're talking about the 4 big services, then some of these services might look very complicated, especially the packages that we talked about. So how does one go about? And if we have to talk about the revenue mix also, if we talk about these 4 services, equipment, manpower and packages and treatment consultation, and typically what revenue mix all these 4 services would give to a franchise partner is one of my questions. And also if you can share the margins one would have against all these services.
I think while this is pretty much covered in the investment slides that we talked about, but yes, just to answer it specifically, I would say that at a gross margin level from a services business, one can expect like services when we say typically the supply of a nurse attendant. So this is in the range of about 27 to 29%. That's a gross margin, right? So somebody should look at. And when it comes to the equipment rentals, right? So equipment rental is again typically, in the range of about 25 to 30%. Right, so you can say it is like a 30%. And in terms of the percentage split of revenue, I would say the services, the supply of people contributes roughly in the range of about 60 to 65%. Right, so then you say the overall teleconsultation kind of a cloud, or the other allied services that we do, it is in the range of about 15 to 20%, and then whatever is left out is in the form of equipment rentals and sales.
Okay, so which means the larger obviously activity is the manpower which needs to be done.
Yeah, because that's the setting ground for us, right? So because that's how you're connected to the people.
Sure. And how does one, while there's already a demand, and I would say there's latent demand also, a lot of people might not be using these services, but whenever, there's a provider like this comes in, there's always a latent demand which comes. So, how does one look at or, bring these caregivers? And I feel that's the most important part of running this business, So one is demand, which I think is already there in the market. And the other is how do we meet this supply very, very efficiently? So what is your guidance to an investor, and especially when we talk about these two, what should one start immediately working on? Is it the supply side the one starts working on when they start up with their center? And how does one go about bringing these caregivers on their board? And you also mentioned in your slide, there is some assistance that company would also give in helping them getting on board.
Yeah, I think, see, this has to go hand in hand, first of all, right? So because demand and supply, it is not that you have to just work on a supply and then later create a demand, but, or I would say you first create, work on a demand and then create a supply. So it has to go hand in hand. I think my initial inputs in this regard would be to create at least your first team of 10 people on ground, right? Which typically takes a time frame of, with players like us on board, right? While we are the people who already spent enough time. So I think this technically would take not more than, I think, 3 to 4 weeks time to build an initial team of 10 people on ground, right? And we always educate in terms of how many attendants, how many nurses, how many ICU nurses to be taken in the form of, because the model, because we are tech backgrounded and we have deep tech integrations in place. So in that context, I would say it is not that you're always supposed to hire a people full-time basis, right? So you can always have a lot of on-call people also, which are connected to you through the power of Android app, right? So that thing is also available. So I would say that yes, our support largely comes in terms of the network that we have created, the technology that we are bringing. But yes, the first a month should be spent in terms of creating initial team of 10, and then the demand and supply has to be equally looked at, right? So you have to be equally focused on demand and supply.
Okay. Now, when we say we need to build a team of 10 people, so these would be full-time people that we need to deploy?
I think, yeah, my strong recommendation is to have your first team of 10 people absolutely full-time. But yes, then after that, there is a formula of, 60, 40 or 70, 30 in city to city base, right? So you can have at one point in time, like if we talk about our current journey at this juncture, I would say overall, we would be creating almost 70% freelancers or 30% full-timers, right? Because, when you have a predictable demand, right? So then, having a freelancer is not a challenge. But when you are building a business, when your demand is a concern, you should definitely, your supply, you should be really sure about, because you have to build your quality. You cannot be thinking about, calling a freelancer when you already have a confirmed client waiting for your services. So you need to be really sure to deliver that. So that can only come when you have a full-time people with you initially, for the initial 10 people.
Sure. And Varun, another thing which I also wanted to ask, and if you can also guide our prospective investors, is how long does it take to build the entire ecosystem? I'm sure the initial, I would say 1.5 month is all about acquiring, I would say both sides. You're acquiring demand, also you're also working at the same time on building capabilities to supply to that demand. So what is the gestation initially, and how long, like I said, it takes for somebody to build the market?
I would say, the working capital gap that we worked in this business model also is technically around 3 to 6 months, right? So 3 months is something which is an I would say, so something which can be a best case, and the on an average to worst case is about 6 months.
Okay, that's about 3 to 6 months of time where you also build both your inventories, I would say both the baskets.
Absolutely.
But there was an element of inventory which I saw in the overall investment. How does one, pick what inventory is needed? Because I would say the demand would be very diverse, right? And some of these equipment might be high in demand, some might be low. So is the franchisee buying that equipment or he's taking that equipment on lease for a long? How it works out?
We are there to support in the right decision making process, right? So basically, there is some set of equipments which the investor is supposed to buy upfront, but otherwise majority of the equipments initially for the first, I would say, even for a year, it will be on a lease kind of a model. So we will provide all possible connections in that regard, right? So initially it will be on a lease model, but yes, the equipment which is high predictability and might be required for every second customer, so that will be a bought inventory.
All right. And I'll take some questions up. And would you want to, maybe before I take up these cities, I have question from Kanpur, I have from Kolkata, I also have down south interest. What would be the important cities for you to enter? As I understand, currently your presence is in north, and that's where you've originated, from the Tri-City. So what would be your initial important priority cities for you to enter?
I think the way we define in this, presentation also, our first focus, immediate focus for first 3 to 6 months is the the getting more depth in north, right? And with west also being, because we are already in Ahmedabad, so we don't mind Pune, Ahmedabad, right? Or I would say Pune, Gujarat, coming into which Maharashtra or Gujarat in specific. Right, but yes, I think if we have an audience, I'm happy to answer that. So you can pick up the questions. That's not a
Sure. I'll
point.
take one question there, our partners at Franchise India. I'll take one from Mr. Subrato Saha. He's from Kolkata, and he says if somebody has a place where it could be opened, all the wisdom, he says, and all the knowledge for the medical care industry at large, with the potential to invest. And I think the prospect he's talking about also holds maybe a location which is 400 square feet in the heart of Kolkata, which is Salt Lake area. Will that be something of your interest? Because that's east, and if there is somebody who's a potential partner, when I'm saying partner, it's a good profile which comes in. Will that be okay for you to pick that up?
Yeah, why not? I think we can take it up. I think we can have a detailed conversation to understand Mr. Subrata's perspective. We need to understand the details, and if somebody is already from a medical background or have a good foothold, so we are happy to connect further.
Sure. And I'll also take another from our partner, Mr. Vimal. And he says, if the prospective investor has a bigger space, more than 400 square feet of space, or he says maybe it is a house, it is possible to extend that into services also at that location. So what we're talking about is, home care at the patient's home. What he's implying is if the area is bigger, can certain services also be given from the location of the franchisee prospect?
Yeah, I think we need to understand this industry also as one of the component which we have not talked about is something, while we have been talking about the home care, but there is another thing called as care home, right? So care home is something, which is a part of the model otherwise, but we've not covered in this PPT. So this largely talks about, if somebody has a good space, or I would say, and the location is also good. So, so you can always convert it into a care home also, right? Which technically, if it can be built according to a 10-bedded kind of a facility, right? So where they are able to intake the patient also, because sometimes there are people who not necessarily need the services always at home, but they also look for an options where the patient or an elder can be transferred to a facility, right? So this can be answered in the form of care home, right? So if you think that we can again discuss it offline with Mr. Vimal to see how big is the space and whether it is fit for a care home or not.
Right. And maybe one last question. We've talked about the markets and one or two questions. And since, one larger part of the investment is on the equipment, and that perhaps I believe has the other question which I see coming from Mr. Vikas. If the person puts maybe a little investment upfront and would have the capability to invest maybe as the business grows, is that something that you would consider? Maybe I don't need to put maybe 12.75 lakh equipment on the day I start. Is that something that you will have flexibility on?
I think, honestly speaking, what we are talking about is that, if we are talking about, let's say, numbers in the form of 15 to 20 lakhs of initial investment, see, this is something in a business to be called as a digestion period, right? So technically, we would want the person to be mentally prepared and come with that kind of a framework, because ultimately it is a FOFO model. This is their own business, right? So, but yes, we would want to spend our time and energy with someone, and I would say that the person would also feel it equally important from our side too, also, right? Because if we are committing time and energy, they are also committing time and energy, right? So it will be important if they are prepared mentally and with at least that kind of investment framework, because this is well thought of, right? If the investment may not go into the let's say equipment, so it may go into as an example, I said that the shuru mein, they need 3 to 6 months of a cooling period. So sometimes you have to wait for 7 months also. It can be a situation, right? So because when you are entering into a business, you can't say that if I don't have a patience, so then I can't run away with that. So that calculations have been keeping in mind that you may have to shift some part of your the medical equipment budget into a cooling budget. So there is a possibility.
Sure, that's helpful. And this, in fact, is a query from Noida, which is NCR, and that for us is the location we want to be. And what is the, I would say, exclusivity or area that we give to a prospective partner to operate within? Do we have certain protection of area. So for example,
Yeah, we're talking about the unit as unit which is going to address at least 10 lakhs kind of a population, right? So this is the one definition of a unit we are talking about, right? So any city which has any city, like for example, if we would talk about complete Delhi NCR, so we are not looking for a one partner in Delhi NCR. We may be looking up to 8 to 10 partners in Delhi NCR, because or we have to talk about a master franchise kind of a model separately. But yes, for now, the minimum, the numbers which have been presented, it is up to, it starts with a minimum coverage of 10 lakhs of a population size.
Sure, that's helpful. And Varun, what in your own experience, if somebody has to sustain the business, and what is the ideal number of patients or I would say whatever projections we have shared on the overall business, if one has to look at every month acquisition of maybe patients, what is that number you think would be achievable for them to keep consistency on?
I think when we look at our investors or partners in the various cities, I would say from a tier 2 to metro kind of a journey, for a tier 2, the sustainability, or I would say a good performance comes at a concurrent customer base of say 50 clients, right? So that is, a ballpoint figure for a tier 2 kind of a town, and this number would be minimum 75 to 80 for a metro kind of a place, right? So if you have to manage at least 75 to 80 patients in a particular city at one point in time.
Sure. And also, friends, this is important to note here, we're talking about these unique patients. While the business that we have talked and presented is on the number of days of being billed, while the patient might be one, but he might use the services for a period which can be as short as 3 days, going up to maybe a week, 15 days, or even a month. So even if you have these patients, the number of services they would use on a daily basis would increase. So that's the predictability Varun has shared. And Varun, since we come close to our webinar, I will also request if there is a message that you want to share with the audience who is listening live to you, both on the opportunity and maybe the potential that you feel is to be unleashed. Over to you.
Yeah, surely. Thanks for giving this opportunity again, right? So I think firstly, I would like to thank each one of you who have spared their time to to listen to the journey that we have traversed so far. And I think the message from my side, or a request from my side, is that we have already done our hard work in terms of reaching a stage where the home healthcare as a subject is well acceptable in the market. And I think as a brand, we are positioned to help you in all possible ways to succeed. You have to trust my words or mark my words that if you are going to choose Zorgers as a partner for building a home healthcare business in your city, I think there is no better choice that you can have in your life. It is as good as that we wanting to succeed. I mean, ourselves vis-a-vis that you are there in the journey, right? So, I mean, a direct company presence versus a franchise partner is not much of a difference for us. So our thought process is that, because what we have learned that there is a science why we have looked for this franchise journey is with a simple idea that we think that the franchise is somebody who has a skin in the game, right? So somebody who understands this as their own business, because this business doesn't require 100% of an employee strength, but it requires somebody who's a city owner, right? So somebody who can bring that element of ownership or the the responsibility. So that's what we are looking at. So that's the only message from my side, and best wishes to all of you.
Thank you so much, Varun, for being with us. I'd like to thank all our friends who've joined on the webinar today, listening and also present on the webinar live. And friends, I will request, we have, in fact, I've put the hotline number and the email ID that all of you can reach out to. We'll help you connect with Mr. Varun, Ms. Nikita, and Mr. Vinay from the team, who could even help you in understanding anything that you need more details on. And we have a discovery day that we are planning in the coming week. And on that discovery day, we'd like to block slots with all of you who are keen to have second level of discussion. And before that, our teams who will reach out to you will also share the entire presentation and information so that you are well informed on the business opportunity, and we can have those 30 minutes of time, quality time being put for the discussion. And I will also request Ashna, if we have a date which has been decided on the discovery day, we can announce the same, and request you to take on for the
Sure. So, ma'am, we have to request Varun because he has to give time to us. Varun, have you decided the date as we discussed? Varun, you are on mute.
Yeah, I think Archana, probably if we want to announce it right away, I think the date can be either this Friday or we are good for next Tuesday.
So I think Tuesday should be good because we'll take the next 2 or 3 days time to filter the interest, Varun. So we can have Tuesday as a date, and Tuesday is 3rd of August, friends. So 3rd of August, we'll block your time with Mr. Varun and the team, and we have put our details. Please reach out to us. Thank you so much, and Archana, over to you for the concluding remarks.
So thank you, Nikita. Thank you so much, Varun, for joining in today. Thank you so much, Namrata. We would like to thank Sonia ma'am also for joining in today. Dear friends, we have kept 3rd of August as a discovery day. Please do reach out to us at our business hotline number, which is 9717683838. We also request you to save this number to get all the franchisee as well as business options from our side. Also connect with us at our different social platforms. We are available at Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, as well as Twitter. And you can also connect with Gaurav sir and Sonia ma'am at their respective LinkedIn IDs. Information we have just shared on a screen. And today we wish you to join us for our Bharat Franchise Show. This show will start at 7 p.m. Again, we have invited the brand's representative of founders from 6 different companies. They will come and showcase their business model for each one of you. Today we are inviting you for our Telangana show. So please do registration either at our business hotline number or at the Facebook page of Franchise India Brands Limited. Thank you once again for joining in today. Have a great day. Thank you.